Hello there, I'm Oz, and this is... What is this again?
Night.
This is Game Night with the Game Knights.
It's game on.
Game on. Well, we're really talking about TV shows and movies at the moment.
More like movie nights.
Movie nights with Game Nights.
But we bring the game.
Yeah, game on.
So, we just watched Loki episode 5.
Yes.
Like literally like 10 minutes ago.
Just finished.
We're fresh out, so I like to let things simmer a bit more usually, come to my thoughts, but
Consolidate.
Yes.
figure out if there's any...
before. A toast to... We had a big day today.
We did.
Oh, yeah.
We went to the
That's
Shadowlands.
the stuff.
That's a good purple drink.
Right, has anyone ever... Americans wouldn't know the VB ads.
The what? The VB?
You can get it when you're driving. You can get it when you're thriving.
When you're
You
driving.
can get it when you're down. Matter of fact, I got it now.
Shad just had a brain aneurysm on camera.
Have you not seen the ad?
No.
Oh my gosh, you're missing out.
All I know is dun 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 dun. No. Like that's all I know.
I'm impressed you remember the thing. So, okay, guys, impressions of Loki episode 5.
I liked it.
Yeah, generally I enjoyed it.
I like most of this show anyway, you know. It's you guys, well, not you, but you that has a hate boner. You have the hate boner for it, man.
Well, the first few episodes really annoyed me, especially the setup. And there have been contradictions and annoyances along the way.
And contrivances. Don't forget contrivances, which I agree.
Contrived contradictions and annoyances.
Contrived contrivances.
And there was belittling of main character and consistency with characterization and all that.
He's weak.
Yeah, but he's stronger than they believe.
What's wrong with that?
it's
Everyone's
a
stronger than they
cliche.
believe.
It's a cliche, especially the. We'll get there. There was a couple of a couple of so lame cliche moments. I literally laughed.
Sure,
Like
but
you guys heard me when they said I was like,
Yeah. But Shad, they've been doing Marvel for what? How long now? 12 years? 12 years, one movie every year. Now a TV show, two TV shows in 1 year. Like, they're going to have...
So, interestingly enough, I would say that this is the best episode so far.
Most interesting.
I would say that's a good sign. I'm not there yet to call it good. I want to analyze it. I'll talk about it with these guys. But definitely had a lot of things happening. There was a moment where I did kind of laugh at something, which was a good line, good characterization. And we'll get into that.
We'll get into it.
But look, we're just going to go right into spoilers anyway. But for the brief moment where we just like, all up, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And
It was good.
I'd much prefer a show that starts bad and gets better than a show that starts good and gets worse as it progresses. And so I think that's a good sign.
Speaking of that, just a little thing here. I did start watching Castlevania. I finished season 1 yesterday. And it's great. But I've heard that season 3 and 4 suck.
I've heard that too, guys. And it was you guys in the comments. You say,
Thanks,
yeah,
guys.
Shad, Castlevania's great, but I'm not to see. I finished season 2. But season 3 and 4, I'm like, maybe you're right, but I'll find out.
Yeah. Same. I've only ever watched up to season 2 as well.
But the first 2 seasons are awesome,
Oh,
man.
fantastic.
Season 1 was
But we're not here to talk
sexy.
about...
But we're here to talk about Loki.
Yes.
Yes.
Nathan.
So, for those of you who do not watch Loki but love to hear our commentary and banter on it, Loki is in a place at the end of time, or as far as the TVA. Well, basically, when people get disintegrated, they get sent to
The Land of the Lost.
the void. They call it the void,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's not really a void. There's tons of stuff
There's
there.
a cloud monster that likes to eat all living things. Apparently, there. Lady Loki decides to follow him there.
She commits
Then she meets up with Owen Wilson. Loki meets a couple of other variant Lokis. Then they decide to try and beat the monster, and that's kind of the episode there, because they eventually do something with the monster, and we'll talk about that as now we go into the specific spoilers, but that's basically a very thin summary.
Yep.
Okay, so standout moments for you guys? Anything else come to mind? Or we can go through it chronologically.
I really liked old Loki. He's probably my favourite Loki so far, actually. All the alligator Loki.
Why did you like old Loki?
I don't know, it just seemed more genuine. Like he'd seen it all, he's like, you know what, I'm done being a dick. Kind of like me coming to Victoria.
Well, because, and I mean,
But I'm still not done.
I'm laughing because it's true.
Yeah.
I
So
love yours.
yeah, I know. It's a love-hate thing for you, isn't it, bastard? So yeah, I liked older Loki. I liked all the Lokis in this. Actually, I liked how it had a ton of Lokis and they're all fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually look. See, there are things to like in this episode, probably more than other episodes, which I'll say it's probably the better one so far. And I did like the additional Lokis, especially the backstabbing scene.
Oh, yeah,
Because it was so typical. It was like, finally, something that felt like Loki-ness. Where everyone's backstabbing everyone. Where, aha, I'm backstabbing you, but I'll backstab you so I can take the throne, but then I'll backstab, and everyone backstabs you. And there's like...
And Loki gets his hand bit off by an alligator version of himself.
And not the main Loki, but it was a Loki that looked like the main Loki.
Yeah. It was the Democrat Loki, I guess. I can't really say that, can I? But I meant Democrat because he was wearing a button that says "Vote Loki," so that's very democratic.
Yes.
There you go. It's not a political thing.
So, Ben, standout moments for you.
I think when they first entered the Land of the Lost, it's right at the freaking start of the episode, but it introduced a new villain type being, and I just thought that it raised a lot of really interesting implications about the world building and the current situation that all the characters are in. And how it all ties in with the TVA as well.
Goliath.
Because, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but it brings up some very big questions about the so-called sacred timeline.
We got to see the sacred timeline.
Kind of.
Well, see, and I'll get to it when we get to it, but yeah, it raises some very big questions that I haven't actually
Pondered yet.
discussed with these guys yet.
Well, we will discuss them with you and all together.
Yes, indeed.
So a couple, I really like the backstabbing scene. I thought that was fun and creative. Well, not creative, but just like I like when characters act according to their character that makes sense, and that's why it rubs me the really wrong way when characters act out of character. And there was kind of a few moments that really felt like that for me, but it's because I'm not sold on Loki being changed yet. And they're trying to play it off that he is. I just really, it's...
To be fair, he always had the potential for change because he did go on to do that.
Yes, and there was an event here that could have been a perfect moment to start that change. But instead of doing that, he's already there.
What was it?
It's when they leave the backstabbing scene, right? And old Loki and young Loki are complaining about it, that we always do this. We can't ever change, and it basically ends up destroying ourselves and stuff like that. And that would honestly be a really good wake-up moment that for our Loki, that at this apocalyptic end-of-world event when you really need to pull together to at least save, even yourself, if you are out for yourself, you would know that screwing everyone else over would screw yourself over. So even if you were
yourself.
Yeah, and so even a self-serving Loki would want to try and... But then it's so in Loki's playbook to want to control everything, want to backstab and gain the power. No, so the other Lokis would have done that, and that would have been a great wake-up moment to really hammer it home to Loki that, all right, these are myself. I'm seeing myself here, and I can see some issues, and that would have been a great moment to begin his change. But
I think that's exactly to begin the change.
Begin the change.
I thought
but he's already changed because the very next moment, not that far after, Lady Loki, Sylvie, asks if he will betray him, and he says, "I'm not like that anymore." And to me, that because I'm not there yet, and for people who already accept Loki's change, they'll be fine with this. Yeah. But because I have not seen enough events like the fallout of the backstabbing scene, that needed more time to settle, to get the change, everything like that. And I could have been on board with that, but that just happened. He's still thinking about it, and there wasn't enough time to convince me. And then the very next moment is like, "No, I've changed. I'll never betray you," kind of thing.
Well, he got to see his entire life before. Remember?
Not enough. That movie, come off it. Remember we said, if they put him in a time loop where he could live out those events once again, that would have been a perfect, easy hand wave thing to get him to actually that point.
Would have cost too much, though. Would have been very expensive.
Oh, yeah, because they're so hard for them to make time loopy stuff.
Well, I mean, no, as in, to digitally reinsert him into every scene, that wasn't just, a green screen of him over the picture,
Disney has loads of cash.
Yeah, I know, but they still have a budget for the show.
Bullcrap! I call bullcrap on that.
HBO couldn't afford to have the wolf and the dragon.
Did you see the special effects in this episode?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where it all went, Chad.
That's not too hard.
It is. Last week...
Green screen effect to have him magically look like he's standing watching the events play out while he's there. Or, no, this is the thing, right? You wouldn't even need to do that. You would, like, because of the time loop things, they're essentially being able to put him in place of where he was. And so you could actually just play out the events with him in there as if he's actually playing him out in real time, and then pull him out at the end with their little dory things. And suddenly we have a Loki that feels like he's lived the experience of the Loki of the MCU, and all the character progression makes sense, and then we can get on board with it.
They'd have to bring back the dude who plays Thanos, Josh Brolin, so he could reprise his role as Thanos again for a bit.
You could use the same scenes.
No, but that's the thing. You really couldn't. That's why they had to use the movie. That's why they had to use the movie screen and slightly edit it a bit.
Yeah, look, they could have done it easily. They could have done it, but they decided to do here's a movie, and I don't think Loki after the Battle of New York wouldn't have accepted just watching the movie and stuff. And so that's why when you get to this episode where he's like, "I've changed," I'm like, it's like, oh, come off it.
You know what might have been better? Is if they put him into like the loop of like watching his mum die as punishment. Ooh. And that would have been hardcore
again
stuff,
and
man.
again and again
and again.
And
nothing he does can change it.
And push it to the extreme. He has to live it out for like a year or two.
No, not a dude.
Yeah, because then that gives the punch to actually believe that he has had time to change.
People can change quicker than that, Shad. Jeez, I change every bloody day.
Yeah, you do.
I do, don't I?
No, I mean, that would have more thematic punch, I feel. But they didn't do that. And like I said, that just... Yeah, but if we're talking about positive things, okay, there was a great line, and Tom Hiddleston is Tom Hiddleston?
Yes.
Yeah, is brilliant, okay? He's a great actor. He can own the role even when he's given poor stuff to look at. And so when he's confronted by the Lokis, and he says, and there's an alligator Loki there, and for some reason that doesn't surprise me as much as it should. Or something like,
that's a bit meta.
No, that was a great line.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant line, expertly delivered, and it's like, man, Tom Hiddleston,
he's great.
He can do the job. And it was funny, and it was good, and stuff. And so... Then, on top of, all right, if I'm pointing out other good things, CGI effects for a TV show were just amazing. Now, I have this weird kind of thing with CG effects sometimes where it gets to a point where it's certainly high budget, and when it's get polished, some people are still able to point out that it's bad, high budget effects. Yeah. I have trouble determining, unless it's really obvious.
You got to look real close.
Yeah. Between bad, high budget CGI and good high budget CGI.
Well, that's the thing with the giant cloud, right? Mm-hmm. That is literally just particle emitter simulation.
Well, it looks great to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right, and so that's cool.
But those are the ones that are the easiest to make the most convincing, and especially since all of it was dark, they use that to hide bad CGI
yeah,
as well.
They do.
Yeah.
And so. You know, it was good to see Owen Wilson again. He's always he's enjoyable. Okay, so I'm happy things are progressing again. I think a show that is pushing things forward are good. Now, as to everything else, I'm undecided. I'm going to discuss to see because I have issues about execution, their plan, how they were able to do it. But their plan was to enchant the big ghost.
No, that was the end goal. That was what they wanted to do. That's not the plan. The plan was let's walk towards this giant monster that will kill us.
It's a plan.
That's not a plan.
Enchant the monster is a plan.
No, that's...
You could have one goal, and it's in front of you, and it's still a plan. But Oz, it's beside the point. We don't need to argue what is a plan or not.
Okay.
You don't have to call it a plan, Oz. I can call it a plan as much as I want.
I'd say that's an objective.
I can call you a plan. I can call that drink is a plan because you plan to drink
it. Let's add an addendum on to the 3-hour chess debate of what is a plan.
I'd say that was the objective to enchant it. The plan was how you do that.
Whatever.
Sure, there we go. Semantics games every single bloody time.
Look, so Oz and I had our chess debate. It was amazing. How long did it go for?
Almost 3 hours.
Amazingly awful.
We're not kidding. And there is levels of... Autism that...
I have reached, but Shad is yet to grasp.
And so we're not sure we want to release it yet.
Release the chess cup!
Everyone's going to ask for it now, but you're all going to hate it.
No, you will hate it. Because you're going to pick sides. You know, most of you are going to choose me because I'm right about everything. I'm a genius.
So, to give you a taste of what the type of argument could degenerate to, we have another smaller but still argument debate over a movie called Field of Dreams that will release before. And if you don't like that, you're not going to get the chess debate.
Yeah.
You're not going to have fun with either.
I get into
film.
metaphysics, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to get into metaphysics to figure out whether something's good or bad.
It wasn't about good or bad. Is there something? What was its physical state in reality?
Chess?
Yes.
I thought it was Field of Dreams. You do go into You go into.
I don't go into metaphysics in Field of Dreams.
Dude, you go into fourth dimensional logic for Field of Dreams.
No, I don't.
This thing bad because this reason, but this thing good because this reason.
Yeah, and
But
I give really objective, defined reasons for it. Makes sense. But we're talking about Loki here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
We're clearly over it.
there
already.
was some world building stuff here, and I'm not sure I've had enough time to stew it over. This is why I just sometimes I don't like going straight after the thing, because I'm not sure if this was contradicting things. Because they say they don't really erase timelines; they move a timeline to the void where it won't continue. To explain that, because they don't have the energy to destroy everything in the reality.
Yeah.
All
They
the
move it to
matter.
the end of time.
And so all the matter gets moved into this. Now,
Well, the matter related to the variant.
the things that are appearing in the void world are not representative of the matter of entire realities. It's like
Yeah,
just
'cause
one
there's
or
only-
two little things
To be
down
fair,
there.
it was only Marvel stuff that was there.
Well,
They had the Avengers Tower. They had the ship from Guardians of the Galaxy.
no, they had the World War II ship thing.
Yeah, sure, right. One thing, right? But most of it was
other
Marvel
buildings.
stuff.
What about the car that Owen Wilson was in?
Yeah, okay, but
Most things were not Marvel
they had the
stuff.
Thanos copter. Most things that were noteworthy were Marvel stuff.
Yes, good qualifiers.
My point is right, like, what are they going to do? Grab a ton of stuff from places we've never seen, or are they going to get references to things from Marvel comics and
but
cartoons and stuff?
It talks about their capabilities regarding their regarding the fizzling of a reality. Okay, and it's shown actually.
What do you mean?
So it's shown as in an example where it shows the clip of them taking Sylvie. Okay, and then they push the reality reset grenade button, and the only thing it removes is the toys that she's playing with.
Yeah.
Everything else stays exactly the same.
It only destroys the variation,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then sends it all to the.
But what if the variation is really big?
like an entire building.
Yeah,
like
or
a ship.
like a planet, because it seems like the TVA cannot detect variants right away.
Yeah.
This is also established with Sylvie when she says it was only when my timeline changed enough that they came in and clipped him. Because then it's explained. This is also shown with old Loki that he survived Thanos.
Yes.
And decided to get a wardrobe change, I suppose.
Well,
because like this really looks like a parallel reality Loki that has a
That's what I'm
completely
saying.
different
See,
origin.
and
No,
this
but
is-
they say that he fully
If
went
that's
up
the
into
case,
Thanos.
why was there the black Loki who was like 40 years old? If he's such a big variation from the one timeline Loki,
Yeah.
why is there the Russian Loki? You saw all the other Lokis all
Now,
behind him.
this right here is what I was talking about at the start when I was saying it raises big questions about the sacred timeline. Because, like the old Loki, if he had survived Thanos, I would say that would be comparable to Loki escaping with the Tesseract, as far as its magnitude goes. And they didn't
clip him
for
until
that. It wasn't until he went to the planet, lived there for years, maybe even decades, and then tried to escape that planet.
Yeah, but
It
that's
wasn't until then.
That's my point. That's what my point has always been. Is that these other Lokis couldn't exist and they wouldn't look so different if they weren't if it wasn't a ton of different realities stacked into one timeline.
Yeah, so is it one timeline that has parallel realities
Yes.
within it?
That's why there's the black Loki who's 50 years old. That's why there's the kid Loki. That's why there's an alligator Loki.
Or is the sacred timeline just a sham completely and they don't
it's
even
all
care
a
about
lie.
The way I said it was, it's like a rope with tons of different little cords in it, and that like it's just been bent in the way the TVA wanted to be bent. All the realities, they're all changed the way the TVA want them to be changed.
But how can you
possible,
have multiple
but I'm-
realities following one timeline?
Because they're changing
it's
the events of all the
contradictory.
realities.
Like it could be the case, but their way of explaining it is garbage. Because
Sure. Maybe you've...
as soon as you have another reality, you have two timelines on their own different events
Do you
and
though?
causality. Yeah, you do.
The timeline, the so-called timeline doesn't really make sense here. But multiple realities following the same version of events that the TVA wants.
No.
to happen.
If you have multiple realities, they're not following the same version of events. They have different version events because they're different realities.
Yeah, I'm saying the events that happen in them, the TVA controls that. They
Yeah.
want certain things to happen in certain ones.
Sounds like a multiverse,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But they're all being controlled and
which they're
manipulated by the
desperately
TVA.
against avoiding.
Yes, no, but here's the thing: is they're being manipulated by the TVA, so they're all still in line in whatever line they
Yeah,
want.
yeah. But
Yeah.
it's still a multiverse.
Sure.
I reckon that
Which they're desperately trying to avoid.
No, I reckon that the sacred timeline is just something that they try and tell the
But
members
this
of the
is what I
TVA.
mean, because you could be right, and I'd
I am
actually
right.
say it's looking like Oz is right in this regard. Okay.
After all the arguments.
But at me, hey, I'm happy to admit it, right? We'll see
Oh,
what
you are
next
not
episode.
happy to admit it.
It
Every
doesn't bother
single
me.
time that he has admitted that he is wrong, he has been happy to do it. Every single time.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
See the smile, Oz? The big smile.
That's
Okay.
very disingenuous.
Show
That's
us
a big
one
smile.
time. Show us one time that he has been cantankerous about being wrong.
I'm very upset.
That's the thing about honesty, folks. It's the honest people that are dishonest when it counts, and it's the dishonest people who are honest when it counts. That's the old animus dichotomy for you.
Their way of explaining it is just really dumb. Really dumb. And they don't seem to understand what a multiverse is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they could be saying, oh, but the TVA is trying to, fool stuff and everything. But if I was working at the TVA, it's like, oh, we need to avoid timelines. Oh, but they're different. Sorry, need to avoid a multiverse. But we have another reality that we're allowing to go right
Like,
here.
there's a whole different
That's more
species
than
of
one.
Loki,
That's multiple. That would equal multiverse.
Yeah, but they're all
Miss
following,
Minutes, why are we allowing a multiverse?
they're all following the flow of events that the TVA dictate.
For
They
each
said-
individial reality.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're allowing a multiverse.
Yeah, that would lead me to believe that there's no one sacred timeline because
It is... guys, you guys are getting real, like...
No. Even we're not saying you're wrong here. We're saying their way
No.
of representing it is really dumb and confusing.
You're saying this is dumb and confusing. I'm saying, well, this is because this is the terms they've laid out, and you're like, why would it be that way? Because that doesn't mean that. But I'm saying it does mean that.
No,
you guys
that-
have just
I don't. I
different-
don't let people change the meaning of words that are very well established.
What if
and
they
have
meant
enough-
something different?
What about masculinity?
What about it?
The meaning behind masculinity. People have been trying to change the meaning behind masculinity for a while to incorporate very negative elements when masculinity traditionally has always reflected very positive elements.
Well, I guess that depends on your perspective. Like, for example, disagreeableness is an aspect of masculinity.
Actually, it's not.
No, it is.
No, it's not.
Women are more agreeable than men.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it's not an aspect of masculinity.
No, I say it is.
No. Traditional. You could look up a lot of, stereotypical traditional things with masculinity.
Men are more disagreeable than women.
That's a clinical psychology thing.
Sure. Okay, so therefore it's
But-
a trait of masculinity.
My point is that people do like to subvert language to try and twist the understanding of certain social things. And I don't like that. I was like, no, I believe marriage is a very distinct term that means, a union between a man and a woman.
Not sure how this is relevant to the timeline multiple realities thing.
Because you were trying to change the meaning of multiverse.
No.
Multiverse, multiple universe, more than one.
Multiple realities, multiverse, whatever word you want to use. But my point is, sure there's some confusion about the words being and terms being
Exactly.
used there,
Good. That's all I wanted to point out.
But
We agree.
So
We're
far,
done. We agree,
I'm
Oz.
not done.
We're done.
I'm not done.
We're done. We
So
agree.
far, it seems
Confusion of
one
terms.
line.
Yes,
right,
I agree with you there as
dictated
well.
by the TVA with multiple realities in that line.
With confusing way of describing it. That's my
what I
criticism.
said to begin
No,
with.
it wasn't. I was trying. That's what I've been saying. That my criticism is that they way
no,
of
you said
describing
they
is
were
really dumb.
contradicting themselves every episode.
Yeah, the way they're describing is contradictory. Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on.
Plot
from this
twist,
point.
guys. They've been arguing about the same thing this entire time.
And
Every
it
single episode.
And it turns out that I look like I might be right.
Yes, it looks like you might be right. I agree. Okay. But it's interesting how a reality now, it moves, okay?
Yeah.
It moves and then goes into the dark place or the void. There is a void. It's really hard to try and figure out, narratively and thematic, how this would actually work.
It's not really.
So-
good
If
anyway.
I was, I don't know, some dark entity that wanted something, it's very hard for me to try and figure out why I would need to build a TVA, what good it would do for me, So the next episode, which is the last episode, by the way, I am a little concerned and worried about a couple of things.
Yes.
One, I think we could either not get any answers, or they try and give us answers to explain all this stuff, and it's gonna be the most unsatisfactory, just dumb things. And the golden hope, okay, is the third option is that the reason whoever's behind it actually has a logically consistent thing that explains everything and it makes sense. It can be done. And
I don't think so.
No. Well, I want to give an example in an episode of Doctor Who. It's spoilers for that episode, but Doctor Who is Doctor Who, and there's a lot more you can watch. But it's a really great example of setting something up where I was watching it, how the heck are they going to explain this? This is all bizarre and nonsensical. And then it comes in with an explanation which ties it all together, and I was like, that's brilliant. I love it. And that's what makes really good writing and setup. And so it's the episode of Doctor Who. I'm not sure if it's called Are You My Mummy? But that's the tagline, Are You My Mummy?
Yeah, the kids with the masks.
With the masks.
Oh, man, that still gives me some
It's a great episode, right? And so, just to briefly give you a rundown, to show you how confusing it is, these people get, you see a normal person and their face mutates to get an old school World War II mask, and then they start saying, Are you my mummy? And they're trying to chase other people down, and every time they grab someone they can infect them, and then people will grow a mask out of their mouth and they become a mask creature and say, Are you my mummy? And they try and grab something again.
Really creepy.
And so this happened live, what could logically cause this? And then the explanation was brilliant, and what it was that a kid who was wearing the mask got injured but fell into an alien spacecraft that had nanotech healing machines in it. And they set up in the early episode that these nanotech machines exist because the companion falls into a different spaceship where Jack Harkness is introduced and she gets healed by the nanotechs. And so the nanotechs don't know how to heal this species because they've never come across human anymore. And so there's this kid who was desperate finding his mummy who was wearing the mask, and this is the only imprint that they could find for human. And so then they think every other humans are actually injured, and so the nanotechs start to heal the humans by turning them into brain damaged versions of the kid, and then they actually rewrite the DNA and the mask appears, and they turn things, and it makes perfect sense for how these healing machines work. And the way they answer it is Doctor Who introduces the kid's mum. He finds the kid's mum, and the nanotechs detect the mum and detect the DNA link between the mum and the son, because mum and child.
Okay,
and then are able to realize what's the correct way to heal everyone, and then the nanotechs fix everything. And I had no idea how they were going to pull this all together. When they did, it was brilliant.
Well,
I wish and hope that Loki could do something like that, where the reveal can explain logically what the TVA is, why they need the sacred timeline, why he needs to live at the end of time and not allow anything to pass. Satisfaction. I'm hoping, because that would actually possibly allow me to say this show is actually really clever and brilliant. And if they can do that, I would say it and acknowledge it. But I'm cynical because I've been let down. Do you know how often we get a Doctor Who Where Is My Mummy versus the sea of crap we usually get, right? Is astounding. And so I'm expecting that's exactly what, and the explanations are going to be laughably absurd.
I think you won't be happy no matter what happens.
No, I can be happy. I've shown an example of good writing, and I acknowledge it completely.
That's one episode of a series that's been going how many years?
There's actually a lot of good episodes.
This is the first episode. Yeah, I know. I agree that Doctor Who has great stuff because there is great stuff in it. But this is a series that every episode you've been like, here's a problem, here's a problem, here's a problem, here's a problem.
Yeah, I know.
And so I don't think that at the last episode is going to be satisfactory for you, whether you're right or wrong.
No. Trust me, if it's good, I'll acknowledge it. I'm happy to do that. I promise you.
Okay,
right?
I know you're being honest right now.
This thing right here.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're gonna remember what was just said right now.
No, but I have a very clear way of being able to judge.
Yeah, but you've got expectations in your head. There's certain things that need to be
because I have standards, Oz.
Yeah, but those standards aren't
It's just
objective.
basic standards of consistent writing.
You know what I like the show? The characters kind of are interesting for me. I like the silly stuff that happens. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, but you know what I personally like?
What?
Is that you're saying you like it and you're not necessarily saying it's good. Because those are two separate things. And I'm glad you're making that distinction.
Like, you can only like
you can like
something
things
if you
that are
think it's
bad
good.
or average. Absolutely. I have heaps of movies that are crap that I love. Okay? Three Musketeers with Orlando Bloom and Thinger. I flippin' love that movie, and it's garbage.
But do you love it because the characters are interesting?
It's fun.
Okay.
It's fun.
Good enough reason.
The story and things that happen are off the wall stupid. Right? Right, really stupid. Okay.
Yeah, I saw parts of it. It looks dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb, but it's a
I like
fun
Doom
movie.
from 2005, just because it's a testosterone.
Yeah, and I actually like some of the more absurd Fast and Furious movies.
Yep.
I haven't seen the recent one.
I like the first one in Tokyo Drift.
Oh, the one where they drag the safe through the
that was
city.
pretty good.
That was
good.
That was a heist movie. Everyone loves
awesome.
heist movies.
ridiculous, dumb, and I loved it. But it's a stupid movie. Like there are some basic objective standards about consistency and stuff. And look, I also think there's another standard you should always judge for entertainment value. And the gold, thing that we want to achieve is a marrying of consistent, logical things that make sense, which good payoffs, good sales, everything, and entertainment with fun, engagement, suspense, all that stuff together in one. And then you have the Lord of the Rings trilogy or something like that. You see? It can be done, all right? But it's just about having standards. And so I have standards about this last episode and the wrap-up of how they're going to try and explain stuff. And the two more likely versions are going to really tick me off. I hope I'm wrong. I'm happy to be, and I want to be wrong about this. I'd rather have a good show than a bad one. But they're going to do a cliffhanger and not explain things to set up season 2 of Loki, to just dangle something in front of us, or the explanations are going to be nonsensical.
I think Loki and Sylvie are probably going to live happily ever after, maybe. I think that's what might happen.
Yep.
I don't know. See, I reckon they want to use Sylvie as Enchantress in future properties.
Maybe. I also think that it's going to be Loki that's in charge of the TVA, not Kang the Conqueror.
No, see, I think they might. They need to scrap the whole thing.
What do you mean?
They want to destroy the TVA, burn.
Yeah, I know, but I don't mean that like our Loki is going to be in charge. I think that it's an older, wiser Loki who's been in charge of the TVA the whole time. He's the one waiting at the end of time.
It's going to be Kang the Conqueror, or maybe the consciousness of Miss Minutes.
Maybe. I guess we'll see. If it is a southern drawl lady, I'm going to not be happy, because it's like, where did that come from?
Miss Minutes is sinister, you can tell. She knows more than she's letting on.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of attracted to Miss Minutes. I don't know what it is. She's just got the right curves.
The
for
right
me.
curves,
Yeah.
the slender arms.
Yeah. She can tell me what time it is all time.
You like electric ticks.
Oh, hey, that's a good one.
Hey!
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so there's a couple of other lines that the judge lady drops that, the timekeepers are wanting to transform the end of time into a utopia. We know that's not really true. There's another reason.
But it's very reminiscent of communism. Yes. We can get to the utopia communism, but we have to use socialism first.
I really do need to give the show overall mad props for framing the TVA as fully evil communists.
Yeah.
And saying that's actually brilliant. And it deserves credit for doing that, okay?
Yes.
That is actually not framing communists in a good light, which was what I was worried and expecting it to do, and I even said that's what I thought they were doing, but I wanted to be wrong, and I am wrong, and I'm really happy about it. And so, the show, I'm not sure where it is, but wherever it was, it's a little bit higher now. I have to agree.
What would you rate it out of 10 so far? I'd give it a 8.
I know that the ending is going to be very important to
But so
determine
far...
no, I could give it an episode by episode rating, but not overall rating. I need to see the ending. Maybe a 5 for me.
Only an average?
Yeah, because there are issues with their plan, the execution, what happens at the end. There are a couple of dumb things.
Even I admit it's dumb, but I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I think I'd be around the 7 or 8 mark as far as my personal enjoyment of the episode is concerned.
I just have high standards, guys. I'm such a snob. I need a monocle or something,
You've already got glasses. Just chop it in half, wear one. We've got a cane.
Yes.
Cane, monocle. Give him a top hat, he'll be the Monopoly guy.
So yeah, the comment about the alligator, it was funny when he's like, an alligator, and striking me is not that strange. I said, oh, it was great. We saw a Thanos copter.
Thanos copter.
There was a couple of little, nostalgia nods there. So I'm all right. This is actually another point in favour of this episode. The Void spacecraft. When she's like, we need to get to the void space. Well, there is a spacecraft and everything. And I was like, I'm so cynical. I was thinking that could actually be a plot line that they would go down. And I was like, that is so dumb and convenient. But then it was, of course, and I was like, nah, it's going to be a lie. And you saw the stalling tactic. And I'm glad, this gives me a little bit of hope, hopefully, because this is the writers being aware of what bad writing is and purposely putting in a really bad plot device, but then knowing it's bad and subverting it and saying it's really a lie. It's like, oh, we have a void spacecraft.
What are the odds the show about the god of trickery and mischief might be trying to deceive you?
What?
Big think time.
Okay.
Also, Loki can't trick anyone, not the regular Loki.
He's not very tricky now, is he? He's very earnest and loyal.
Yeah, yeah. Which I don't
And
know.
the thing is, you can do trickery and, like good and loyal at the same time. Look at Oz. Okay?
I was just about to say, dude, that's me.
Exactly.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
You
it.
see? See, we do love Oz here. We give him a hard time, but...
I give them a hard time.
But see,
to be
yeah, the
fair.
current Loki is not... He's not a trickster. He's not having fun, and is just like... And, yeah, it's annoying. It doesn't feel like Loki too much. Yeah, okay, so... He wants to... So, Loki's on the planet, and they're... And I just have no idea. He wants to... Oh, yeah, he wants to escape to find the girl Loki because he's in love, basically.
He's in love with himself.
I'm glad they kind
Very
of
Loki.
brought it out when they're sitting. It's like, that thing Mobius said about our Nexus event, what causing it. That's not real. And but they're got the awkward kind of traction thing.
Yeah.
Now,
They know how weird it is.
Denial.
yeah, I'm
feelings.
still not sure because it does strike me as very cliche, like I originally said, if they get together. Here's a pet peeve, okay? A relationship between two characters should be organic and natural and stuff, and shouldn't just be because this is the only girl in the show and this is the only guy in the show, and they should be together because they're the protagonists and reasons. And so there are a lot of movies and TV shows that do these very unrealistic relationships where these characters in reality, they really hate each other,
Yeah.
To be fair, though, they do fill in each other's weaknesses. For example, right? Loki, god of trickery, our Loki, he isn't very manipulative, but he's very charismatic. The female Loki is not charismatic, but she can literally manipulate people by touching them, It's like they have this, the opposites attract. And if you know anything about Jungian psychology, you know that that's the anima and animus, dichotomy, is that's the opposite of who he is, well, out in the open.
Are you just trying to sound big brain by saying opposites attract?
Basically.
Yeah, we understand that.
Okay,
Okay.
there we go.
I have thoughts about it because is she like how much of a Loki is she? Because out of all the variants that appear, she is the least Loki.
Yeah.
To be fair, she didn't grow up in Asgard. She didn't.
This is true.
But she's supposed to be
but-
the same type of person.
Yeah.
And so
There's a Loki alligator, Shad. Like, all bets are off.
So this is true, right? And so you could try and justify a fairly different type of Loki, but there should be that underlining connective tissue, and I don't really see it.
I think
at
that is.
all.
They're all from generally like Asgard, right? They all have the magical powers to create illusions or certain sorceries.
All of them have been tricky, backstabbing people, as can even confirmed by this episode, except Sylvie.
Yeah.
She did try to enchant him.
That was just their conflict in trying to get the upper hand over one another.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a Loki kind of thing, apart from having a move she had in up her sleeve.
Yep.
And so now that's why I'm a bit conflicted because I could see Loki falling in love with himself, but
Yeah.
she's not really like himself. And so would Loki fall in love with someone who's trying to one up him and beat him? He's very competitive. Okay, I could see him falling in love with someone who adored him and fed his ego. Yeah, I could see so. Like these are all things that would mesh well. The only thing they seem to connect on is we always lose. I understand you lose. I lose.
Well, that's the thing. Imagine if you had finally met someone who you might understand and they might understand.
That's what I mean. It's like they're connecting because of an underlining understanding of each other. But she's so dear. Look, I'm not really sold on their relationship.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. How often do you meet someone that you truly understand? Never. Almost never. Apart from that's usually the person you marry, isn't it? Well, there you go. That's
I
usually-
don't totally understand her, but I do understand a lot about her.
You understand enough.
I understand
Enough to love.
Yes.
That's all that really counts, isn't it?
Yes. And we're opposites too. Yeah. I'm tall. She's short. I'm male.
There was a
she's
really
female.
weird line by
Awesome.
Loki. Was it the kid Loki said or the main Loki? I can't remember. But he calls all the other Lokis monsters at one time.
Yeah. It's the main Loki when he's walking away from the big brawl that's going on. He's like, oh, monsters.
Again, like he's not there for me. Other people would be fine with the show. Look how much has changed. He's calling people who act like himself monsters now. Look, I'm
Again,
not
he's
there.
just seeing himself play out the same mistake over and over again,
I like that he finally met a variant Loki that looked like him. Like, technically,
Finally, yeah.
technically, most variants should actually look like him because
Well,
that's
yeah.
the true timeline in reality.
Yeah, exactly. Every single
every-
other Loki.
Every Loki should actually look mostly like
Yeah.
the prime Loki, which is him.
Well, you get into a big thing about DNA and, you know, like, is it the same person? You know? Is it or not? It's tricky. We don't experience multiple realities or universes in our reality. So
Let
who's
alone
to say?
multiple realities and universes only following one timeline.
Yeah, so who's to say? You know, all I know is this is what the show is doing, and I'm gonna wait until they wrap it up to be like, this was awful or this was great. I'm having fun so far, and I like it so
I just
far.
had a thought of how they could wrap it up, and it would be the most ridiculous thing, but I can see them doing it.
What?
You know, in it was episode 2 when Sylvie made all the time grenades like drop into their own little tempat portals.
Yeah.
What if they drop out at this new destination that they're going to?
But it already created multiple variants and stuff.
I know, but like,
Which
still,
made no
And-
sense
and
anyway.
they
technically,
still haven't addressed.
She
that.
had a tempad, and they could have used the tempad to leave the void zone at any time, like Owen Wilson does. But they wanted to get beyond the smoke monster,
Yeah.
the storm monster, because that was blocking entry
Yeah.
to the thing past, and so
Yeah.
the tempad couldn't reach it.
Yeah, so I just find it funny because they still haven't addressed what happened with those because those are
Well,
physical
no, they did.
grenades.
They
What?
did. They
When?
did address what happened.
When?
She bombed the sacred timeline with them. That's where it showed all those trees coming off and everyone like freaked out, even though it was resolved in like.
So it's kind of
Yeah,
like she could have.
okay, yeah, no, they resolved it.
It's kind of like
that,
she could have just used bombs and not steal all the
But again, why would a bomb that reset? Oh, that's right. They said that she did the opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a pretty easy solution. Just bring more of the things back and put them there and
Yep.
undone. Problem solved.
They still didn't address it. That was a big what?
Yeah. It was a band-aid.
So, Sylvie's enchantment. She can enchant Titan level. Well, look, it was difficult. She needed help, but we'll get to the help part. But that felt like a stretch to me. It was like,
It's not just the fact that she was able to enchant this being. Okay, this being is so powerful that
It kills anything it touches.
well, yeah, literally kills everything it touches. Yet she was able to hold on to it and enchant it. But this being is so powerful and so omni-dimensional that it is able to simultaneously live, exist, and survive in multiple realities in multiple.
what do you mean
timelines
multiple realities
simultaneously.
multiple times? It only so far what show showed us. It only exists in the void world.
Well, see, this is the thing because what's her name? What's her name again? The bad lady. The
Judge.
Yeah, judge lady. She said that is the point where all the timelines actually meet a convergence point. Okay, and I'm thinking that they might have meet a convergence point.
Wait, she said what?
She said that all the timelines.
No,
meet
no,
a
we need to
convergence
rewatch
and just
that.
stop.
She said
say
all the
timelines?
timelines. Yeah, you caught it too.
Okay, yeah, all the timelines.
Or just the sacred timeline. We would need to confirm this.
Oh yeah, okay.
down
Don't misquote it, Ben.
Okay,
This
no,
is
okay.
important.
We need to because I thought she said all. No, she said there's a convergence, and then it just time just stops.
have to
Yeah,
see.
no, a convergence.
That could
of-
be your that could be
Yeah,
your
because she
confirmation.
says there's a convergence where all time converges and it just
all
stops.
time conversions.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
different.
Okay, and so that's what she says. What's his name again?
Loki.
No, Aoli. What's the
Aioli.
the big,
Aioli.
the big monster's
He was
name?
Alioth. I think.
No, it's
Eliath.
Eliath.
Eliath. That's right. It's close to Aoli.
Aioli.
I have a steak I want you on.
But yeah, so like he's like from what I understand of the character of him that they've already established in the Marvel universe, not necessarily the MCU.
I'm not familiar. Is he a character?
Yeah, he's actually a character
Eliath.
in the Marvel universe.
Oh, really?
And he has the capability to simultaneously exist across multiple dimensions and multiple timelines. So you don't need one of him for each dimension and each timeline. He can be present.
We would need to wait until that's
those-
confirmed.
To be
Yeah,
fair
I mean,
though,
like MCU
In the
could
MCU,
change it.
MCU
Yes.
contradicts comics book lore all the
a
time.
point to Ben's point is that like he did contain the end of time within him. He opened up.
Yeah, he opened up to
goat
show
seed.
No, that was. I had a question about that. It's like, oh, he has a portal inside him to beyond.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, but
because to me at that point they were just, and it does this and it does that, and there's no reasoning behind it. They're just saying because reasons, and it's like, and people are just going to accept it because the drama of it all. They controlled him, and there's a portal inside that leads to exactly where they want to go?
This is my theory, though, and this I think might explain it, okay? Because I've noticed every single time he eats something, it turns really old. Okay, so for example, Loki, like the old Loki's helmet. Okay, he goes through old Loki, and then his helmet falls on the ground, and it's all rusted and horrible.
Yeah, and he took the years from the sailors?
Yeah, what if Eliath eats time, and therefore is the Convergence?
No, but that's the thing. That's why I was thinking. It looks like Jorgenmunder, right?
Yeah.
The serpent at the end of time eating its own tail.
Yeah, so he eats time, and that would actually follow suit that any time that goes beyond that point is only through him.
And Jorgenmunder would, and Jorgenmunder would make sense because Loki, Jorgenmunder.
Yeah.
It seems like so. Like it would sound like he would be behind everything because by sending everything to the Void Realm from the branching time. Well,
yeah, he could just morph
sending everything
it's
to
a
the Void
very
Realm,
elaborate way to try and he'll make a whole
to the TVA because he was hungry.
He was
Dude,
hungry
what if
and he
it's
wanted
like
to eat
Thor?
time.
What if it's Thor that's at the end of time, tamed Jorgenmunder? What if it's like a character we've already known?
Yeah.
You know?
So this thing is elemental. Okay, it's like this Titan force of energy and power. And, like you're not sure how much consciousness it has. Yet Sylvie thinks she can enchant it. I like that she felt she could because she accidentally hit one of his strands and she saw flashes of consciousness in her mind, and so that was kind of a setup. But okay, I think I could go with it. I'm a little like, but okay,
What if it's Thanos at the end of time?
That would be annoying.
Good luck killing him.
And so then she needs help to enchant this thing. And she asks for Loki's help. Loki says, I don't know how. And then she says, you can, we're the same. And that is a part where I was like, that's your explanation?
To be fair,
we're the same.
To be fair,
you can do it.
He did get a crash course in enchantment in one of the episodes. He's like, how do you do that? She says, you grab onto him and reach out with your mind.
Yeah.
So,
No practice, he can just do it right when he... See, this is one of the things where it's really important to try and set up practice and stuff like that, where without that, it comes off as Deus Ex Machina, where he just can pull out the magic because he needs to. We're the same, you can do it!
Like, you could see that there was a little bit of an attempt to show some sort of grasping of the concept because, he was, like, stressing out and it wasn't working, and then he closed his eyes and kind of calmed himself, and then, poof, it worked.
See, it would have been so much better if there was a bit more of a setup, okay? If there was, Sylvie taught him the technique, he tried a couple of times, he wasn't getting the hang of it, but at least he knew the methodology. Like, this is basically throwing a baby into a swimming pool and saying swim,
No, Shad, that's the thing, that does work. That's
sometimes,
or
they drown.
No, it works almost all the time.
All right, you do it with a baby, tell me how it works.
No, dude, Shad, I'm not kidding.
All right,
this is a
3-year-old.
well-known fact. No, not a 3-year-old, a baby.
Yeah,
babies know how to float.
Babies actually have a reflex where when they go into water, their lungs pretty much close off and they adopt like this dolphin.
Yeah, but they'll drown if you leave them in the water.
Sure, but still the thing stands is that babies can do that.
There is a
No, they can't swim, Oz! Babies can't swim! Swim is defined by not drowning. If you drown, you kind of fail at the act of swimming!
Swim is defined as moving through water.
They can propel themselves through
For
water.
humans, swimming is defined as not drowning.
You can drown and swim at the same time.
I disagree. I think once you've drowned, you've ceased swimming and
Drowning-
you've failed at the act.
Oh, yeah, you're dead, but drowning and swimming are two different things.
I'd say there's a very close connection between the
treading
two
water
acts.
swimming? Is treading water swimming?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's how you don't drown.
Exactly. Swimming for humans is the act you do to avoid drowning. So anyway, babies would drown, and it felt like
Well,
there was no setup for the thing. And this is one of the things, right? Annoying things, right? This is actually a magic that I feel is within Loki's repertoire. I get annoyed when they introduce magic that he hasn't done before, like telekinesis and stuff, like proper... It's funny, right? We mentioned it, like, I don't know, in one of our previous views, that obviously he did the Thor the Dark World thing, and then we mentioned in our next review, roundtable, and we mentioned that the telekinesis noises, everyone says, but he uses the Thor the Dark World, so you clearly haven't been watching all of our episodes, people, because we've already explained it! Go back and watch our explanations in the previous episodes.
Yeah.
Because, as we said, that's not really telekinesis, it's just a wave of power. Okay, anyway.
I mean, what is telekinesis? It's moving objects with your mind.
Basically.
He moved objects with his mind.
Telekinesis.
Well,
That wasn't with your mind, though.
It's with a force I could project from myself. which was clearly what Loki was doing. There was no sign that it was actual telekinesis.
Well, there you go.
Checkmate!
Okay.
So, moving on. There is precedent for Loki being able to learn enchantment because he uses a power in Ragnarok when Valkyrie starts to attack him and try a thing, and he says you're a Valkyrie, as though she says, and he's like, oh, that's a painful memory or something like that, and then grabs her and projects the memory in her head of that dark thing. Okay, so Loki has a level of mind manipulation to get people to see memories, and Sylvie's already said that mind control is bringing someone into their own memories, so it's in Loki's wheelhouse already. He just needs to learn it, practice a bit, okay? But they don't give him that, and so it's annoying because I could have went there. It's like, yeah, I could go with Loki knowing enchantment the way Sylvie does, but we're not giving it.
Yeah.
Were you upset in Thor Ragnarok? Was it Ragnarok? Yeah, when Thor Ragnarok when he did the thing to Valkyrie.
It wasn't done before, right? But there are some powers which seem more in line with what Loki can do. Illusion, and because he can create illusions, and so creating people to see past memories is an illusionary kind of thing. It's in the same theme of his powers, so it didn't rub me too much the wrong way. Full-blown telekinesis where he can stop a falling building, on the other hand.
But what about
this is where it becomes a problem, because if you introduce a power that he could have logically used in his previous battles and he wasn't, it's like, why? You know? And so that's when it's an issue.
But like he got inside the monster's head in this one.
But he wasn't actually shown practicing it. There wasn't a proper setup.
Yeah.
He just suddenly could do it because we're the same.
Yeah. Instead of snuggling in their little blanket, Loki could have been sitting there going, hey, Sylvie, teach me how to do this thing.
Because that's their plan. He knows they're going to plan on enchanting it. It's like, I could perhaps help you, instead of her just saying, I need your help right in the moment. It's like, I could practice it, and then he could be struggling. It's like, I'm not sure I'll get it. And then when he gets to the big thematic final crux, where it's like, and then he pulls through for his love or something.
Well, sometimes you got to run before you can walk.
No, but they didn't even
Like
do
throwing
that.
a baby into a pool.
They just freaking.
If only that was a eligible swimming technique, because it is.
It's not.
Not for too long though.
Really not.
Haven't you seen the Nirvana album cover?
It's very irresponsible. I disagree. Don't throw babies. Do
you know how to swim, Chad?
Yes, I do, Oz. You know why I know how to swim?
How?
Because I'm not drowning when I do it.
I don't think that's why you know how to swim. I think that's
Throwing a baby
demonstration
into
of
a
how.
pool is not them swimming. That is them in the process of drowning while they hold their breath. Because they're not swimming.
Anyway, semantic games every
No,
single time.
because you know I'm right on this one. Don't even try and argue it.
But I know that they put babies into pools to show them how to swim.
Hold on. I'm actually very legitimately interested.
I am ready to move on, though.
Yeah.
Because I won the argument.
Let's
Swimming.
let the
Swimming.
comments.
According to the Oxford Dictionary, is the sport or activity of propelling oneself through water using the limbs.
Without drowning.
No,
No,
it doesn't say
I don't
without
care.
drowning.
If you drown while you're swimming, you failed at swimming.
Doesn't
I don't
matter.
freaking care what Oxford Dictionary says. It's wrong.
You were still swimming
Bull
up
crap.
until the point you drowned.
No,
Sounds
because while you are drowning, you're not swimming.
No, you can drown and swim at the same time.
No. Well,
What
if you're
down-
in the act of drowning, where you're not able to control where you can get air and you're having to hold your breath and stuff, that is the act of drowning. not
I
swimming.
gotta say, I gotta be honest with this one. Swimming is the act.
Let us know in the comments. Okay.
Is swimming not drowning, or is swimming propelling yourself through water using your limbs?
Is any of this useful?
It's very important, just like chess.
Okay, what was the next point, Chadsky?
So, there was actually a line where instead of spreading a bad ideology, it spreads a really, really good one. And it's the conversation between Sylvie and Owen Wilson, where Sylvie is like, why'd you do all the bad things? And he's like, well, you did bad things, but I didn't do as bad things as you. It's like, well, when you believe the ends justify the means, you'd be willing to do about anything.
Yep.
It's like, yes!
A great man, Alexander
Yes!
Solzhenitsyn, said that it's the means that justify the ends. Not the ends that justify the means.
Yes. Yeah. This is like that. Understanding that philosophy is actually really, really important, because as soon as you believe the ends will justify the means, that means you can justify the worst levels of atrocities.
Just in case anyone doesn't understand what that means, so it means basically the end of your goal, what you want, can't be doesn't justify all the awful things you'll have to do to achieve it.
Yeah.
That's basically what it means. So, communism, for example.
Exactly. Okay.
Hey, we want the utopia. Let's starve 7 million Ukrainians.
Yep.
But there are people who believe that their goal justifies a lot of atrocities.
And it starts with small things.
Yep.
And once you do one small thing, that pushes you a little bit further, and it's not as hard to do that thing again. And then because you're already further, doing something a little bit further now is a small step, whereas where you started, it would have been a big step. And then it's one small step until millions can be slaughtered. And we've seen it in history. And so
We're
the
seeing it in
philosophy,
history.
where the philosophy of the ends justify the means is one of the gateways to
Hell.
the greatest of evils.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I love that they pointed out that, you know, all the evil the TVA is doing, he fell into the wrong philosophy and is trying to change now, and that's great, okay? Because it's actually better to die in righteousness than to live and succeed and prosper in wickedness, all right? That's the philosophy of true morality, all right? And that's how you can build a truly good, you know, moral, prosperous society as well.
It's something that's very Christian that says the utopia doesn't come about. No, this is actually another thing from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. The utopia doesn't come about by sacrificing others. Utopia comes from individuals willing to sacrifice themselves.
Alrighty. So I love
very
to have that line there. So, on balance at the moment, this show isn't wrecked by wokeness.
Yeah.
There is the denigration of Loki. I agree. And there is a clear, you know, kind of representation of men and women. Women in this show are all appeared to be in positions of power. None are shown to be openly belittled. I'm not saying they should, but if there is, there should be balance or stupid stuff. Where Loki, there's an episode, well, literally last episode, where he's getting kicked in the balls over and over again. Okay.
To be fair, that did also happen in Castlevania.
Yes.
But that was hilarious.
That was hilarious. Well, I mean, you could say that one's hilarious, one isn't. I mean,
Yeah,
I said
of course.
he was getting kicked in the balls by Lady Sif. I mean, like,
if any lady's gonna kick me in the balls, I prefer it wasn't a demigod warrior. But just as attractive though.
But it's a very clear thing that they're happy to show men being beaten down constantly, but no, you know. And I'm just saying, look, even balance, okay? I think men can be depicted stupidly and be kicked in the balls, and I think women can be depicted stupidly and kicked in the crotch, metaphorical crotch.
To be fair to the showrunners, right? If they do that to a woman of color or a woman, what happens to them? They get cancelled on Twitter, you know, like.
So maybe you reckon they're doing it as a safety measure, just a protective kind of thing?
I don't think they would have that happen and then have the anti-communist stuff, because I think the woke people wouldn't pick up on the anti-communist stuff because they have no idea what communism actually was.
There is a movie I watched and I can't remember. It has George Clooney in it, and it's about Hollywood and his
Hail Caesar.
Is it Hail Caesar?
Hail Caesar.
Where there's the guy that works for Hollywood, and he gets in George Clooney, or someone is having a problem. He grabs him and just slaps him across the face to wake him up, and then he goes to a female someone, she's being hysterical, and he just slaps her across the face to wake her up. It's like equal treatment. It's like,
Or the one from Aeroplane where they're shaking the lady to get her to calm down. Remember that one? And calm down, miss, calm down. Like, no, I'll take it from here. Calm down, miss, calm down.
I hate
and there's like a line of
There's a
people
lot of people. Some of them have like
You're like-
bats and guns and stuff. And one guy's got a grenade.
it's great.
This is my thing. If you're going to be making fun of people, just do it in a balanced way. Don't make a protected class because of that. And so there's been signs of that in Loki. It hasn't been extreme, granted. Like Ghostbusters, the remade one, is an extreme example where all the men are either villains, evil, or idiots. Okay, there is no, and this wouldn't really bother me except for the hypocrisy, because it's the other side of the aisle that then say, how dare you never depict a single competent woman in a whole film and stuff like that. And if you do not have a single competent woman, what's that stupid test where, you know, if a film or something doesn't have two women talking about each other and they're not, and it has to be specifically not talking about men, it's a sexist film or something like that.
Okay.
It's the something test.
Based on that logic, every single rom-com that is ever made from now on has to have one action scene featuring, I don't know, who's an action hero?
They're all gone now. Do we have a classic true
wait,
action?
No.
Liam Neeson.
We have a guy who was in a rom-com and in an action movie.
No,
Mark Ruffalo.
My point is, what Mark Ruffalo? What action
He's
movie
not
is he
an
in?
action hero.
He's not an action hero. He's a left.
He's literally the Hulk.
Yeah, but he's not an action
he's
hero.
not an action hero. Is someone who fits the role, like Arnie. And, you know,
Arnie, Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone. Anyway, Mark Ruffalo plays the nerdy thing that the action hero comes out of. They're literally Sylvester Stallone, but green. You know,
Except for when him and Hulk kind of like
yeah, even then he's still
And
a
so-
bloody nerd.
This is an example why there is a lot of hypocrisy where they complain if women aren't portrayed, if there's not even a single competent woman portraying this thing, and then they're happy to do the exact opposite and have, like the Ghostbusters movie,
Yeah.
and there's not a single competent men, and that tells me that they're not after equality, they're after supremacy, and
Well,
that's
yeah.
an issue. That's a big problem.
Do you remember that argument we had? When we went and saw- that's exactly what I said to his missus at the anime thing.
Yeah, so TLDR, basically he was saying that all feminism
I didn't say that. I said that feminism nowadays.
He said feminism nowadays is about female supremacy, and my wife said no, that's only the extremists that think that way. True feminism is about equality.
Oh, yes, just like true communism is about equality.
Why would it be called feminism if it was about
That's
equality?
exactly what I said.
Because
That's the first thing I said.
and my wife's
Wouldn't it
argument
be called
was
like humanism or something? And I know humanism has some
Okay,
like
no,
there's-
use the word
we
equality.
actually
Yeah.
discussed this, and the reason was because when the word feminism was first coined in in reference to equality, it was because from a social standing in society, women were here and men were here. Women had to get right to vote. Women had to be able to work, and they were bringing themselves to equal standing.
You
with
do
men.
know a lot of men had to get right to vote. Anyway, there's a
no,
larger
but no,
conversation.
yeah,
yeah,
but
like African Americans, you know.
Yeah,
like-
but that was the thing, and yeah, and so basically it was I was saying that feminism is about supremacy.
why not call it equalitarianism?
And my wife was saying that the extremists think that way, and the people who are actually in a certain place of power think that way. But
And what I
feminism, in its purity, is about equality.
specifically what I said is it's a female advocacy thing. That's when I qualified what I said after. First I said supremacy, but it's actually a female advocacy ideology. They want to advocate for more power for females. And that's and I mean
Well, in the
Why not?
extremist end, it's to
let them do that.
Yeah.
You know,
So what?
men should be able to do that too, shouldn't they?
Yep. I totally
no,
agree
but that's
with that.
sexist.
No, see, and this right here is where even I get to the point where I'm like, no, it's ridiculous.
That's the
It's
thing, though,
bullcrap.
man. Can you call them extremists when they're actually in and controlling entire institutions?
Yes. Hitler was in and controlling an entire institution, and he was an extremist.
Yeah, fair enough.
Alrighty.
I can see
So
that point.
it seems like Loki
Loki.
Loki
woke.
isn't that much wokey. Like there's signs of it,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that there's a big slap in the face about communism and there's an anti means justifying ends message and
Yeah.
stuff like that is that okay, I think it actually balances out a bit.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say this is a show that is ruined by woke propaganda garbage.
It does have it. It is influenced
There's
by it, but not
elements to
ruined.
it, but there's stuff on the other side.
Yeah.
And if it's balanced,
Yeah.
yes!
Yes.
Massive props.
Oh, okay!
Balanced as all things should be.
Okay. And so, with that acknowledged, Loki, it's kind of...
So now it's a 6 for you?
Maybe, well, that was for the episode rating, so...
Okay.
But my overall rating will probably be more positive because of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've already kind of talked about the self-sacrifice thing, like, I wouldn't betray you kind of thing. I think even this Loki might be willing to get there for love. And,
What if
he
Sylvie
likes it.
betrays him at the end? How funny would that
Finally! I was like, oh, finally she's a Loki.
There's the feminism they're after. I'm kidding.
Well, so something that kind of threw me out of this episode, right, is the other Lokis, right? When they're, getting ready to fight the storm monster, they're like, no, we're not going with you. This is our home. I was like,
It's not their home. It's the
This
end
is a
of time.
friggin' dump. It's a void world of horror, and they're like, "Oh, this is our home."
To be fair, how long were they there for?
I don't know. No, come off it. No,
It doesn't look like that bad of a place to
It was
live.
ridiculous.
Cool
and
stuff
the
shows
only
up?
reason they did it is because they wanted the old Loki to look like he's going away and then come back in like Han Solo with his magic save the day thing.
That's the thing I was saying before. I don't think that the old Loki actually sacrificed himself, because it showed that in the fight with all the other Lokis that he could project another version of himself which has his powers. So maybe he just projected himself and then did that.
Yeah.
So he even did the projection of him being eaten and his helmet.
Sure, maybe.
Was he trying
It's
to
very
fall?
possible.
Maybe.
I don't know.
very possible.
I think he's dead.
But the thing is,
hope
all
not.
his illusions have had like a green outline, and when he got eaten, there was no green outline.
Something I liked it. Like I didn't like the obvious reason we're staying because they're home, because it's a dumb excuse that just to bring him in. At least when he brought him in, the person who really whips out the big power is the old guy who has the experience, and
Yeah.
you know, like, see, this is where you can introduce like jumps in power levels when you have a good reason to explain it.
Yeah,
and
age, experience.
experience is built up, and he said that, you know, there's even a good setup. It shows again these writers kind of have potential. Where why do you rely on the daggers? Loki, and I forget what he said. It's basically
Loki
implying
never relies on daggers. It dampens our
a
magical,
magical
potential. Yeah.
and so that implies this guy has got the magic on in his corner.
Yeah.
Do you know what'd be cool? If so you know how they live, like the Asgardians live for 5,000 years or however long, but they're frost giants anyway, but they'll still probably live a long time. If like the monster that ages things to death attacks them, but like obviously they live longer, so you
Takes
know.
longer for them to die.
Exactly.
Is Loki a frustrated in the comics?
I actually
No,
can't.
he is.
I'm not sure.
I will check.
I'm pretty sure he is. Otherwise, why'd they put it in Thor?
Because they wanted to, like, you know, he questions his whole thing, and you lied to me, Dad, and you know, he kind of that sets him down the path of betrayal stuff.
Yeah, rest of them.
And you wouldn't make me king because I'm a frost giant and I'm not really your son, kind of stuff.
Bro, he was hung up on that for a long
Okay,
time.
yep. In the comics, he is a frost giant.
Okay, cool.
Is he in Norse mythology?
No, I don't believe. I believe in Norse mythology, he's actually
I know he has sex with a horse in Norse mythology.
as a horse.
Yeah, Mr. Hands.
So Loki, our Loki, gets a backscabbard.
Yes.
yes.
A
How many points
shabard.
is that for you? It's like XP in a video game.
small things, but you know, I acknowledge them. Like, I didn't get to see the backscabbard. I
Yeah.
want to see it, but it's for a small dagger.
Yeah.
Okay, weird thing. He wants to get the attention of the storm thing, and he just makes a torch. Like he gets the dagger. I'm expecting something cool, like he's gonna launch like a
Fireworks,
fire,
that'd be cool.
like a laser beam or something, and he just sets it on fire and then starts waving it around. I'm like,
It literally
that was a bit disappointing.
It literally reminded me of that one scene off Jurassic Park where he lights the flare in front of
Like,
the T-Rex.
I'm here! Come and get me! Not the person who's invading your mind, just the guy with a flaming stick over here!
It would have been cooler if he did like massive fireworks.
Exactly! Like, I thought the kid Loki gave him a powerful enchanted item, and when Loki whips it out, he's gonna do this big thing, and then
No.
a big,
Just a little
powerful...
dagger.
And it was such a letdown! Like, I'm
You
off
have more
it!
impressive weapons than that. It's like
Oh, man. Sad stuff. So, just kind of going back about his powers, right? I always kind of assumed when Loki whips out his daggers and stuff that he had them hidden on him through illusion.
Yeah, that's what I imagine.
So now Loki can actually manifest material objects.
maybe it's like the light in your book that they store them within themselves and then they pull them out.
So he had a blanket?
Yeah, I mean, like your characters have swords stored
See,
within
because
themselves.
like
as light.
being able to create objects, right?
Yeah.
is a very useful thing. I'm sure he could have used it in a couple places beforehand, and so it's just one of those powers. Like, okay, you know, he calls it conjuration. But,
To be fair though, he does it with armor, and what it looks like when it happens is it comes out of light. So it's kind of like you're in your
well,
book.
that's kind of what it's saying. That those times where he summons. See, I kind of picture that as either summoning, not material manifestation, or it was still he was wearing an illusion previously, and then the illusion leaves, and that's where he's wearing
Yeah,
his armor.
that's what I thought it was. Like what, you know, in the old Avengers movie, that he has the illusion of a suit, and then he breaks that illusion, and then boom! Hey,
But
I'm
no,
actually wearing
like
armor, guys.
he says, he's conjuring this, like he's creating a blanket kind of thing. I was like, I'm not sure about that, you know.
And then he changed the blanket.
Yes,
Yes, after he already conquered.
and granted, That was a smooth move, Loki.
Well,
was,
maybe
yeah.
he literally just like pulled it back and then extended it over instead of like making a bigger one. He just like moved it.
No, but where did the blanket come from in the first place? Like,
just stored it within
created-
himself.
Whoa,
No,
like,
it-
so he's
it-
got a
He
blanket
did
there.
it with the tet thing. He's like, "Nope, it's gone."
No, because he had the tent, and then he illusioned it away and hidden.
yeah, into himself.
Yeah, where did he get the blanket?
Maybe he did it before with a blanket. Same
Maybe
thing.
he has like a bucket of carrying.
That would be fun. Like if they acknowledge, like he's got a hidden bag of holding that he illusions things away,
That would be
and then he
cool.
could just whip out useful objects. But he never
out a
does it in the
gun.
previous things, you
Nope.
know.
Nah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, like he hides Thor's hammer in it or something like that, you know. But no, never happens. Okay, so. Okay, that's basically most of my things. I mean, I have a note here about them being able to enchant this elemental, you know, storm monster because they can.
To be fair, it has a consciousness, you know.
It has a consciousness, and so yeah, you know, perhaps I'm on.
But at the same
Yeah.
time, she couldn't enchant Loki because his mind's too powerful, you know. Maybe-
That's actually a really good point because
Yeah.
this thing is supposedly insanely powerful, but maybe it has a weak mind. It's like an animal or something
Yeah,
like
it did look
they,
like an
They
animal.
called it a guard dog in the
Yeah.
thing, and it's specifically guarding the beyond time.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Its
so
own
I think
tail.
that's their setup to explain why there's a portal existing inside. Like, I have no idea how this thing works. Is where he sucks time, eats stuff, and he has a portal inside of him to the time beyond where.
I mean,
You guys won't get this reference, but some of you in the comments will. It literally goat seed to the end of time. You
I
guys,
don't get that
you
reference.
don't want to know. Do not Google that. But the people who do know,
don't
pretty
say-
weird, eh?
Whenever you say that, you know they will, and you say it before that reason because you know you want them to. You sicko.
it makes sense.
I've just seen things, man. I have seen things.
It makes sense to me that a being who would eat all of time would be the key to furthering time. It would
end of
make
time.
sense.
It would make sense
It would
if
make
it was a
sense
guard
that-
dog in front of a door blocking something, but it's not blocking a door. It's just they
is
open
the
him
door.
No,
up.
but I'm saying like if he was to manifest in a certain time or times, then because he eats time, all time would stop until he's dead. Because he's literally eating time.
I see it as the snake eating its own tail. Jorgenmunder.
Well, yeah, that's basically what
Yeah.
I'm saying, and it
And
would
I
make
like that.
sense. Yeah, it would make sense as to why the portal's actually inside him because he's the way that time actually flows through because he's eating it.
Don't know. Yeah, I'm
Makes
not
sense
sure.
to me.
Overall, though, this episode helps redeem Loki a bit. Best one so far. Good payoffs. It showed that, you know, it's balancing with the messages it's saying as well. In terms of entertainment value, I would still probably call it a 5 for me just because there was those other moments where I was like, oh, really, you know? Like, we're the same!
We're not
You
so
know?
different, you and I.
You can do it because we're the same!
There you go, work stuff. Men and women are the same. I'm kidding.
Yet, on a broader scale, you know, okay, all right. Okay. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But these have been our thoughts. Let us know about the swimming and drowning thing as well.
Yeah. Let us know about the timeline thing, which I'm right about.
Yeah, I think at the moment it looks like I was right.
Shad, when it's revealed, I promise I won't be so salty about it. I won't be a sore winner. I promise.
We'll see. And until that time, these are the Game Nights wishing you a good night.